If you're a perfect driver, if you increase and decrease RPMs at exactly the right time, if every shift occurs at the perfect instant, you'll miss the automatic features offered by the Lightning transmission. But if you're like most of us, a transmission that can analyze, monitor, and automatically control shifts so that they're smoother and result in less wear and tear on components is a real advantage. With the Lightning Series transmission, that's what you've got working for you. The durability of a manual transmission and the intelligence of an electronic controller. And because the Lightning allows you to make 10 gear shifts with only 4 lever movements, automatically makes the range change between 6th and 7th gear, and has a top 2 feature that allows for automatic shifts between 9th and 10th gear when the cruise control switch is on, you'll find the Lightning Series transmission makes your job easier. Over the next few minutes, we'll reveal the shift techniques and special features that will help you use the power of the Lightning Series transmission to your best advantage. In the cab, the components you'll be using are the shift lever and the button, the clutch, the throttle, and you'll be using the tack. And until you're familiar with the Lightning shift pattern, you'll probably refer to the shift decal for quick reference. Note that the shift decal is also located in your driver instruction manual, along with step-by-step driving procedures and other important information. In fact, we strongly recommend that you read the entire manual before driving the Lightning to be sure you're taking advantage of all the Lightning features. Now, in a minute, we'll take Lightning out on the road, but first, it's important to understand that you'll encounter one feature that at first will feel different. You see, most of us are used to selecting a gear and having the transmission respond immediately. But Lightning's ability to analyze, monitor, and control when shifts occur means you select the gear and Lightning completes the shift when conditions are exactly right for a smooth shift. For instance, the throttle may feel unresponsive or a shift may seem delayed, but Lightning is selecting when to perform the shift. It can take a little getting used to, but it's worth it. Let's give it a try. As with any vehicle, it's important to follow basic safety procedures. Buckle up and make sure the shift lever is in neutral and the parking brakes are set before startup. Then depress the clutch pedal and start the engine. You'll notice that at startup, the red service light on the shift knob will light for about 3 seconds as the transmission performs a self-test. If the light stays on, flashes, or doesn't light at all, refer to your service manual before driving the Lightning. It will give you important instructions to enable you to drive to your nearest service center. With a normal startup, build the required air pressure, 90 to 120 psi, depending on your vehicle. When you reach pressure, depress the brake pedal and take the clutch pedal to the floor to contact the clutch brake. Then move the shift lever and button to the appropriate starting gear. If you're on level ground or lightly loaded, you may want to start in 2nd gear. With heavier loads or uneven terrain, start in 1st and shift to 2nd just after your vehicle's in motion, around 1,000 RPM. Now, before we actually take Lightning out, here's an important tip for deciding when to shift. Until you reach 18 to 22 miles per hour, you'll want to make each shift at progressively higher RPMs. This is referred to as progressive shifting and will give you better shift quality. Now, these ranges are detailed in your driver's manual, but typically a shift from 1st to 2nd will occur at 1,000 RPM, 2nd to 3rd at 1,300 RPM, and 3rd to 4th at 1,400 RPM. Now, on this first run, just keep your eye on the tack and listen to the rhythm of each shift. This will give you a feel for when to make your shifts. On the next go-round, we'll focus on the shift lever and clutch. All right, next we'll focus on your use of the clutch, shift lever, and shift button. But first, remember that when performing a button shift from first to second, third to fourth, and so on, there is no need to depress the clutch. You simply pre-select the gear using the button and brake torque by releasing the throttle. However, for faster splitter shifts, depress the clutch once momentarily. The transmission will detect the drop in RPM, reach synchronous, and engage the next higher gear. For button-only downshifts, pre-select the gear using the button. Briefly release the throttle to brake torque on the driveline. Then increase the engine RPMs by pushing on the throttle to reach synchronous for the next lower gear. Don't worry if you fail to match your speeds exactly, because Lightning will help control the engine speed to make a smooth downshift. When performing a combination button-lever upshift, again, pre-select the next gear using the button. Brake torque by releasing the throttle, and double clutch as you move the shift lever to the next higher gear. To perform a combination button-lever downshift, pre-select the next lower gear using the button, brake torque by releasing the throttle, double clutch as you move the lever to the next lower gear, and increase the throttle to reach synchronous. Again, Lightning will help by making sure the engine speed is correct for a smooth downshift. Now, when double clutching, keep in mind that you don't want to fully depress the clutch. If you take it to the floor, you'll contact the clutch brake. You just want to depress it enough to move the shift lever. Well, even if you haven't quite gotten the feel of it, remember you're working with a system that will help control acceleration and deceleration to make the shifts perfectly anyway. All right, this time focus on the relationship between the clutch, shift lever, and shift button. Now, on those occasions when you're lightly loaded or bobtailing, you can skip shift using only lever shifts. Remember that skip shifting means you're skipping an entire gear ratio, and that requires the engine RPM to decrease twice the amount of a normal shift. It also means that your shift point will take place at higher RPMs. Of course, the position of the button will determine which gears you skip between. With the button down, you'll skip between 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 9th. With the button up, you'll skip between 2nd, 4th, 6th, 8th, and 10th. Here's how it works. Simply accelerate through the current gear, and when you're ready to shift, brake torque by releasing the throttle, double clutch, and move to the next shift lever position. Again, accelerate for the shift, brake torque, double clutch, and move to the next shift lever position. One note, when the cruise switch is on, a lever-only shift from 8th to 10th will probably initiate an immediate downshift to 9th. But again, the top 2 feature will allow an automatic shift up to 10 when appropriate. When making lever-only skip downshifts, the transmission does not help to control the engine. You must ensure that the engine RPMs are increased to match road speed. Next, let's take a look at reverse mode. When operating in either of the 2 reverse gears, low reverse or high reverse, shifting technique is the same. However, for maximum vehicle control, low reverse is recommended for normal vehicle backing. High reverse can be used when bobtailing, however. And although shifting between reverse ratios can be done while moving, we recommend that the vehicle be stopped when changing reverse ratios. As we've said, the Lightning transmission has a top 2 feature that allows for automatic shifting between the top 2 gears when the cruise control switch is on. With cruise control in the off position, you perform the 9 to 10 button shift manually, just as you would any other position. But if you want to use the automatic feature, make sure the cruise control switch is on. Make the standard button lever shift from 8th to 9th or auto by pre-selecting the button down position and moving the lever to 9th. Lightning will then manage the shifts from 9th to 10th and back again as needed. If you performed a skip shift to 10th, let's say the vehicle speed is too low, the transmission will complete the shift to 10th, but will immediately downshift to 9th. Again, the system works to keep you running smoothly. When downshifting from 9th to 8th gear, move the button to the up position, lever shift to 8th, and again, the system will assure a smooth shift. With the button down, the shift would have been from 9th to 7th. That's it. Harnessing the power of Lightning isn't difficult with the right technique. Again, we recommend you read through your driver instruction manual completely before driving Lightning. It will cover everything we've discussed here, as well as detailed information on maintenance, troubleshooting, and special procedures to follow if you need service. For example, if your vehicle ever requires towing, it's essential that it be towed with the drive wheels off the ground or the drive shaft removed to avoid damaging the transmission. If after reviewing the manual you still have questions or need further assistance, contact the Eaton Road Ranger Service Team at 1-800-826-HELP. Eaton, harnessing the power